All right, so we've been reviewing a lot of cars here at Zigwheels.Ph. Scratch that, let me correct that. We've been reviewing a lot of crossover SUVs here at the channel, and I've been figuring, are crossover SUVs really the default car choice for car buyers? Is that something that I would recommend that you would buy? Well, the short answer, yes. Longer answer, let's talk about that. What's going on, guys? Roy Robles here from Zigwheels.Ph, and today we'll be discussing why a hatchback might be a better option for you guys instead of getting a crossover SUV with this one right here. It's the Honda City RS hatchback. Now, when it was first released, and when we first reviewed it not longer than 2 years ago, I was a little sad that they had to introduce this and let go of the Honda Jazz. But when I looked at this in the metal, I said, Honda Jazz, what? I mean, look at this. You've got a longer hood and shorter deck right there in the back. You got this nice grille here up front, nice character lines working here. You got 16-inch alloy wheels, character lines that move from the headlamps to the tail lamps. You got the repeater signals right here on the side mirrors. I mean, everything that you're looking for in a sleek hatchback, you got it right here in the Honda City RS hatchback. It definitely looks like as if it's moving. It's definitely dynamic when it comes to looks, and especially when you see the current generation Honda Jazz, you'd probably be thankful that that wasn't the one that was introduced right here and we got this one instead. Now, another advantage a smaller, lighter hatchback has is its power to weight ratio. Now, under the hood of the Honda City hatchback, you got a 1.5 liter DOHC naturally aspirated engine that makes 120 horsepower and 145 Newton meters of torque. And any Honda fan will tell you that a DOHC in any Honda means fun. And fun is something that we'll be talking about later on. By the way, the 120 horsepower is class leading when it comes to hatchbacks and compact sedans. Now, the biggest reason for me, at least, why you'd rather get a hatchback than a crossover SUV is, of course, the hatch. I mean, look at this right here. Imagine putting in heavy items in a higher riding SUV, such as my crap right here in the back, and having to lift it up and put it inside. If you remember my reviews, I always find it important to have a lower slung loading bay whenever you buy a crossover SUV, but with this, you won't have any problems. So you got ULT seats. You can actually fold those rear seats down if you want more space, but even if you had the second row seats up, you can still put a lot of stuff right here in the back, like a crossover SUV. All right, so we're now inside the Honda City hatchback. Now, one big misconception about buying a crossover SUV over a hatchback, a smaller hatchback, is that a crossover SUV would have more space. Now, if you get the right model when it comes to hatchbacks, that might probably not be the case at all times. For example, inside the Honda City hatchback, you've got more space inside because of Honda's man maximum and machine minimum. And I gotta say, yes, as the driver here, I've got more space than some subcompact crossover SUVs that we have tested on the channel. Plus, a hatchback such as this one, for the price of an entry-level crossover SUV, you can get a fully loaded hatchback such as this Honda City hatchback right here. Now, one thing that I have to note though, that the Honda City hatchback compared to the Honda City RS sedan might not have a couple of features like the Honda Sensing, because I think Honda is saving the Honda Sensing for a refresh of this one here, and this one hasn't been refreshed just yet. So if you need to get more information about the Honda City hatchback, if you need a full review of it, you might want to check out this video right here where we actually compared this one to the Honda City sedan and gave it a full review. But once you're inside this top of the line Honda City hatchback, you definitely are not wanting when it comes to features, especially when comparing this to similarly priced compact crossover SUVs. You've got automatic climate control. You got this huge touchscreen infotainment system right here with both Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and it is very responsive. It looks like it has a 60 hertz refresh rate here, and it really is. I really appreciate a touchscreen that's not laggy at all. You got 6 speakers all around and 6 airbags as well inside. You don't have any electronic parking brakes, but that is something that I actually prefer when it comes to my cars. But since you do have the manual parking brake right here, you do lose the automatic brake hold, which might be a bummer if you're stuck in traffic. You got a adjustable steering wheel, you got leather seats inside, you got a nice CVT shifter here. It looks nice and chunky. You got multiple USB ports and count them, three power outlets, 12-volt power sockets that can actually charge your multiple devices. Whether you have a small laptop or any of your power banks, you can charge them really quickly with those 3 power outlets. You got aircon vents in the back as well. It actually helps out my director right there. Ash is sitting in the back, and it's got long legs, so he might be a little off when it comes to leg room, but it is enough, and he's probably had worse whenever we compare this to subcompact crossover SUVs. My point is, you might want to consider getting a top-of-the-line hatchback compared to a similarly priced entry-level crossover SUV. So why settle for less when you can get these nice amenities in a hatchback? All right, so again, we're now behind the wheel of the Honda City Hatchback. This is the RS variant. And although we reviewed this already 2 years ago, it still feels exactly the same way as it was when we first driven it. One of the advantages of getting a smaller hatchback instead of an SUV is, of course, the affordability. Not just the entry-level price, but the maintenance as well. I mean, this runs on 16-inch wheels, a 16-inch tire. So when the time comes that you need to replace those tires, they're not gonna cost you an arm and a leg. Now let's go to the drive. As I mentioned, crossovers, their usual ride heights, they're also part of their main selling point on why a crossover SUV is so popular. The higher ride height, ground clearance, is again something that appeals to many car buyers. But the trade-off with getting a crossover SUV with that much ground clearance is that the center of gravity of your vehicle is also way up, which means if you chuck your vehicle around like this, it's not going to be as responsive, it's not going to be as fun, and there is a slight possibility that you will be tipping over if you run really fast around a quick corner, which you should never do on any car. But on a hatchback such as this one, it doesn't feel like you're gonna throw up. There's some slight body roll, of course, but it's not going to be as severe as on a crossover. So if you're gonna be using a crossover for fun driving, you might want to move along to a hatchback, which is loads more fun to drive. All right, so if you count the power to weight ratio, having no turbocharger is actually no big deal because, again, you don't need that much power to pull a car like this one, which is pretty light. So it has 120 horsepower and 145 newton meters of torque. It's got eco mode, you can go to S mode, and it's got paddle shifters, which makes it a really fun and engaging drive. Now, the average fuel economy of this hatchback, the Honda City RS hatchback, in the city, I get around 10 to 11 kilometers per liter. And on the highway, 19 kilometers per liter. Try doing that on a crossover SUV. This is definitely the way to go if you're thinking or if you're worried about fuel economy. Are you worried about safety? No worries, because the Honda City Hatchback actually got a 5-star ANCAP rating when it comes to safety, which means that you don't have to bring a large hulking crossover SUV just to be safe. I mean, this thing's complete. This has multiple airbags, ABS with electronic brake force distribution, you got electronic power steering, you got stability control, everything that you need. Now, this one though, as I mentioned, does not have advanced driver assist systems. It does not have Honda sensing just yet, but I've heard some rumblings around the nerd vine that there might be an update coming soon. But as it stands right now, as we're testing it, it doesn't have Honda sensing. If you want Honda sensing, you might want to go for the sedan variant, but for the hatchback, it doesn't have that just yet. So again, if you're thinking about your next car purchase, don't just buy a crossover SUV just because most of our videos are about crossover SUVs. Sometimes going small, downsizing, doesn't mean downsizing fun either. That's definitely all I have to say about that, but I'm not saying that hatchbacks don't have their own inherent weaknesses, ride height being one of them. I'm just saying that don't constrain yourselves to crossover SUVs. Maybe a much more affordable hatchback is the key to your next car. But what do you think? Drop me a comment in the comment section down below. Maybe we'll be making another video about why you should get a crossover SUV, but today we're talking about hatchbacks. Thanks so much for watching. Please make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification icon so you wouldn't miss any of our videos. This is Roy Robles from Zigwheels.Ph. I will see you guys next time.